Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sisterhood of Salem Member Spotlight Series. We are at episode number 7, and I am your host, Jennifer Carey. I am on the board of the Sisterhood of Salem, and I have the privilege and honor of spotlighting our members and sharing their gifts with the community. And today we have author and poet Robin Gillette. Thank you, Robin, for joining us on here.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for inviting me to do this. I'm very excited to share my information with everyone.
I know, I'm so excited to share what you have to offer. I know how many people can benefit from it. I've been fortunate to have personal contact with you and all of your gifts, so I'm so excited to share them with the community. And so let's begin with that, Robin. Can you please tell us more about your gifts? I know you have a book.
Yes. Well, before I had the book, I was a school social worker. I'm a licensed social worker. Did that job for 21 years, but I also worked in the very creative aspect of it, supporting students who had difficulty writing poems and drawing pictures and writing reports. And so that kind of fed my creative side. And once I retired, I had a couple of things happen that were a surprise. The first in 2022, I lost my dad in June. And then 5 months later, I lost my husband, and both were unexpected. Um, so I was walking through that journey, and a lot of people offered all kinds of advice and just telling me how it was going to be. And I listened to it with a grain of salt. But what got me was when about six people told me grief is a wave and it's going to come in and it's going to come out, but it's just like waves. Well, by the fifth time I heard that, I got really upset because I love waves and I love the beach and I didn't want someone taking away my love space, my relaxation space, my humbly giving recognition to the earth and nature. It's like my place is the beach. And as I thought about that, I said to myself, I need to change that. I need to change because everyone says that. So many people say that. And I needed to change that story because people were trying to make me follow a story that I had no connection to. So I was like, grief's not a wave, grief is a hurricane. And a hurricane has three phases, right? You get knocked down, then you have that eye of the storm where you have time to recuperate and time to have a little healing and start to feel a little better. But then you know the back wall is going to come in either a holiday or an anniversary or something is going to bring up, trigger those emotions again, which is normal. And so as I was normalizing this new way of looking at grief, I just started writing. I mean, it was like words poured into my brain. I don't know where they came from, but I bought a book and I just started writing and writing and writing. And poetry is what came out. Um, Poetry that was provided me an opportunity to express my feelings, but I didn't have to just write about myself. It was a very helpful reflective tool to write and have the subject maybe be about loss and grief and the different things that happen in your world that you don't even think about will happen when you're grieving, and just able to have aha moments, if you will, and then all of a sudden words will come and I'll just write. So out of that, I submitted all of my poems. I worked with an editor first, a poetry editor, because I was like, what the heck? I got nothing to lose here. If somebody rejects me, that's okay. Somebody rejected my work, I really should say. But they didn't. And I submitted my work to a publishing company, and 3 weeks later, they offered me a contract. And that was
Amazing.
almost 2 years ago. And we are now just waiting for a release date. So this book should be coming out shortly. Um, yeah, so one of the big things I've learned is being able to put into words, not necessarily just a journal, because I feel in some ways this is my journal, um, but to do it in a way that can help other people and be creative and artful and use myself to use my brain, because when you're that overwhelmed with grief, thinking is difficult. So it got me also to be using my brain and recognizing it's a good combination of words versus a better combination of words. And so it really, and I continue to write poetry. I'm on my second book. Um, and it is chronicling a journey of 3 years later. What is life like? It's not
Mm-hmm.
as horrifying as the first year. The first year was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
However, grief is with you, and I acknowledge that, and I encourage people to say it's okay. You're going to grieve in some way, shape, or form for the rest of your life. It's up to you to find ways to explore that so it doesn't overwhelm you or overtake you, but you learn how to live collectively and collaboratively, um, respectfully with the grief, because we should respect ourselves, and we should I don't like the word should, I'm sorry, but it's more helpful to respect ourselves, and it's more helpful in the long run to respect the grief than to fight it and stifle it and push it down and submit to maybe some community pressures that, it's been a couple of years, you need to move forward.
Mm.
But what does moving forward mean? And that's what I explore with my poetry, what moving forward means, because it's going to mean something different to every single person. There
Mm-hmm.
is no prescription. It's let's talk about, let's write about, let's draw about, right? Let's color, let's paint, and see what comes out, and see where you're at with grieving and loss. Because it's
Mm-hmm.
a ongoing journey. I like to call it a journey. It's an
Yes.
ongoing journey. And I learn something new every couple of days. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of my story in a nutshell.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing that. Sharing all of the gifts and then also sharing how you discovered them or they discovered you.
Yeah.
And I just want to kind of slow down and reflect some of them. So I know that you mentioned you started out with like social work and working in
Yeah.
schools and teaching and using creative tools then. And then you had these tragic sudden losses of two of the most important people in your life, your father and your husband, within
Right.
5 months. And knowing that grief is the most difficult thing for us to deal with in this human world,
Sure.
you have lived how powerful writing and poetry can be in that healing journey, as you mentioned, in addition to shifting how you look at it, because the waves wasn't landing for you.
Right.
So it
Not
wasn't
even
landing.
close.
You were like, this isn't waves slamming me down. Don't mess with my happy place. But what
Yeah.
this is a hurricane.
Yeah.
And so thank you. It's not only, it sounds like, Robin, not only do your poems, so the poems that came through you, that
Mhm.
helped you heal, that also help other people heal, because when they read them they can relate to
Right.
the lyrics and the different lines of that you write. It also inspires them to do the same, correct?
Right. Right. I've been very fortunate where, I've shown a couple of people, particularly at my church, some of the poems, and they've asked me about how it helps with healing. And I've had two like 6-week workshops of
Mm,
writing and expressing yourself, drawing, um, whatever the creative process is, to allow yourself that moment in time, that exercise with your soul, to go there,
hmm
go deep, and go strong, because it's you're the only one that's going to be able to know what your journey is, and you're the only one who ought to be defining it. um Everybody grieves differently. I've seen people look like they're over something in 2 weeks, and they're just plowing forward and doing their work. And I say, good, really, honest to God, good for them. But then I see other people who the expectation is that that's what
mm,
they ought to do. Hey, it's been 2 weeks. Come on, let's go. Let's go out and have dinner. Let's go out and do this. And that's not necessarily that person's reality. And I
mm,
had that. a very interesting thing happened right before Christmas this year. I was with a group of people, and out of that group, there were three of us that had had a major loss. And as we're departing, everyone is going, Happy, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. So I wish you this and I wish you that and all this goodness. And I sat back and I'm watching, and I saw my friends that have had losses going, yeah.
Mhm.
And I realized, wow, we do say that, don't we? So I leaned into them and I said, Hey guys, have an okay Christmas. And they both turned around and they went, Oh, I like that. It's like,
Yeah.
I want to give permission for people to say what they really mean. I had a wonderful
Yeah.
Christmas. I'm Italian. I do Christmas Eve. But for the rest of it, it's just like you're missing somebody. And
Yeah.
dwell in it. You don't have to dwell in it, but the acknowledgement is what is so helpful to people. Just the acknowledgement. Um, and we move on, you know?
Hmm.
And now that's my new thing is have an okay holiday.
Yes. Yeah. And I hear what you're saying about just granting permission for everyone to have their unique
Yes,
grief journey.
I like that phrasing, unique grief
Yes,
celebration.
because it's different for everyone, and like everything else, we want to put it in a cookie cutter,
Yeah,
right? And we want to have it be like you said, nope, you grieve for 2 weeks, and or what, how many bereavement days do most people get? 2 or 3 days.
2 or 3. Yeah,
Don't get us started. But having everyone have permission to have their unique grief journey, and then having this tool that allows them to channel their unique grief journey. I feel like poetry is so unique. It's
yeah,
an expression that how I write a poem will be very different than you, and how I channel grief will be very different than you. And it comes
yeah.
out through that.
One of the things that I learned about that creative process is I didn't put any expectations on myself. I would say a good third of my poems are some form of a haiku, just three
Hmm.
lines,
Hmm.
just 3 lines. It was
Yeah.
something that happened or I saw and I wanted to capture it. And I can't remember what reason, but it was important at the time. I'm a strong believer in honoring whatever your gut instinct is at the time,
Hmm.
because it'll all come out in the end why it was important.
Hmm.
So when I got those moments, I kept my book with me all the time around the house. I'd get that moment and I'd go, oh, and I'd sit down and I would just put it down on paper. I wouldn't think about if it met any standard. I wouldn't think about, the misspellings. I would just write it down and know I could go back to it later. And that in and of itself is such a healing thing, because when we lose someone or when we lose something, we also feel a sense of loss of control.
Hmm.
And by doing this writing thing and having this book around me and kind of getting thoughts suddenly, I would just stop what I was doing and I would write it down and I'd close the book and go back to what I was doing. I had
Hmm.
complete control over my day where I felt
Hmm.
I did not have control in my life.
Hmm.
And that might sound dramatic, but in that first year that I lost my husband, we did everything together.
Hmm.
We did everything together. I didn't have to worry about a cup of coffee in the morning. He didn't have
Oh.
to worry about breakfast. 7 o'clock at night, there was a cup of tea ready that he would get us ready. And that was our time to get together at night and watch
Hmm.
TV or do whatever. Um, and we made music together. He was a musician. We
Hmm.
had a music studio in our house. So some of those nights we'd go in there and sing and just have a ball. So
Yeah.
I love your unique grief thing, because that caused a unique kind of grief for me, because music, all of a sudden, I was alone with. And a lot of people
Yeah.
find relief in grief with music. But that first year, music did the opposite for me.
I could see that.
Yeah, it did the opposite for me. But now I can drive around in my car and we have probably 30 songs recorded by my husband. So I can put
Oh.
those on in the car and sing along with him. But I couldn't do that the first year. It was
Yes.
very, very difficult.
Yeah.
Again, unique grief, right? It's something that really nobody thought about. Um, but my son and I did.
Yes. Yeah, no, it makes complete sense to me that it
I'm
was
going to
just
just
too.
swing that back to the control because I think probably everybody would say one of the biggest things when you have a loss is you that control, right? And then
Yeah.
and that's why people will go right back to work or they'll go right back to whatever they do
Mm,
because they need to feel that control in their life again. I get that 100%.
yeah.
I guess what I'm suggesting to people is honor yourself and honor the grief, even if you're doing that, because if it's so important to get that out. It's so important to express yourself for yourself. You don't have to show anybody, right? I did it probably because I'm a social worker and it was like I'm hoping I can help other people. So, that's just been my career line. But if you're doing that to heal, you don't have to share it with anyone. You're doing it for you to discover your unique grief. I'm going to steal this phrase from you. I will credit it
Good.
to you.
No, you don't have to. You don't have to take it. Take it and run with it. I got it from listening to you. Yeah, no. And it's the the control, right? It's when we lose someone that's probably the ultimate. I mean, besides, this sounds strange, besides when we lose ourselves, like when we,
Yeah.
right, that must be the ultimate. But it's to have, and especially I know you mentioned for you, they were both unexpected. Not that it makes it better, but there sometimes when it's over a long period of time, you have some time to process it.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's a sense of like, okay, I had my chance to say thank you. I had my chance to say I love you. I had my chance to say whatever. But when it's just,
Yeah.
talk about losing a sense of control. So I love that description of how, you could just, throughout your day, you could just write. And that was a bit of an anchor. That was an anchor for you. And
Yes.
a place to process the grief. Because like you said, if it doesn't get processed, that comes out and right like
Yeah.
you'll be blindsided by it at some point.
You're making me think of one of the poems. I don't know if I'll get it exactly right, but someone off like that's not that close to me. I don't even know who it was, but somebody was like, you probably need therapy. And I sat back and I was like, okay. Our visit ended and I knew I had to write about it. And it's like a 4-line poem. It's just like, it doesn't mean I need help. It doesn't mean I need therapy. It doesn't mean I need you to come over. It only means that today I choose to do nothing.
Hmm.
And that's another thing that I found with grief is you don't have to come over and get me out of bed. You don't have it's okay when you're just tired of
Hmm.
of going day to day and filling in the gaps that someone leaves behind. Because you have to, right? I'm responsible for all these bills and the mortgage and the mowing of the lawn and the shoveling of the snow. So you get exhausted. But it
Yeah.
doesn't mean I need help. It doesn't mean I need a therapist. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with me. It's like I'm giving myself permission to take a day off.
Yeah.
And that's the part of honoring. I write a lot about this, honoring the people we've lost,
Hmm.
honoring um, grief, and honoring ourselves as we go through grief. So I think I'm not sure how it happened, but I think somehow we've lost touch with that. I think I've told you the story. I'm Italian. My grandmother passed away when I was in the ninth grade. There were 4 wakes, a funeral, and then the next day we all went to her house. So that's 4 days of off from work,
Hmm.
4 days surrounded because everybody went to all of the wakes. It wasn't
Hmm.
like some people went to the afternoon one and they were one and done. Oh no, no. They'd come to all 4 wakes and then they'd go to the funeral and then they'd come to my grandmother's house. And I remember sitting there going, I was wiped out because I've never experienced death before. But now when I look back, it's like, man, we try to get it all done in one day. We have a wake from 4 to 8, and then by 9 o'clock the next morning, we're having a funeral, and then it's over. And boy, that's kind of assuming that everybody's fine.
Yeah.
And I'm not wishing that everybody isn't fine, but I think the reality of life is when there's a major loss, you need some time. We've been doing this since Neanderthal man. I think if I recall my early man history, that's when they first found DNA of flowers with remains.
Yes.
So, I mean, we've been doing this for a very long time. So it's in our DNA, if you will, to
Mm-hmm.
grieve.
Yes.
And I think you mentioned it, the amount of time someone needs to grieve the initial shock is going to be unique to each griever.
Mm-hmm.
And then giving yourself permission to understand and realize this is something that will walk alongside you for the rest of your life. And my goal, and what I want to help people do with the writing is I call it build a nest in your soul so that
Mm-hmm.
grief can kind of cuddle up and sleep. And
Mm-hmm.
then maybe what happens is muscle memory, right? It becomes fall, and you start thinking about the holidays, or you're approaching an anniversary date. So the bird stirs, and you kind of get some responses from that. But it's a cohabitation. It's not like, oh, I've grieved, I'm done. I went around it and over it and through it, and I'm good. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, there's a lot of I'm not criticizing grief programs, but there's a lot of grief programs that are 6 weeks long and say, we'll help you get through it. It's like, and
Yeah.
I kind of feel like, yeah, get through just finish the sentence with say, get through the first 6 weeks. And
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to give permission to people to understand you are so normal if you're still grieving somebody and it's been 5 years.
Yeah.
If it's that my mother died in 2005 and I ran across something of hers today and it was like, hmm,
Mm. Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
So it's there. It gets different. We build a relationship with it like you would with a new person you met and you hit it off fine and you just wanted to get a good relationship with it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because it's real. It's
Yeah.
tangible. You can feel it. You can touch it.
It
Hugs are
is
great.
real. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you want to help people live with it, not get
Yeah,
rid
so
of
it's one
it
that's going to
or
help
make it
people
go
too.
away.
We've been talking about the griever, but you know what? People who are trying to support the griever, I would say that like 2 out of 5 know how to do it. I mean, some are just so nervous, they don't know what to say. They've
Mm-hmm.
never experienced grief at that depth. And I feel for them really much because, we say the darndest things when we don't know what to say. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's a human nature thing. You're searching for the right words and sometimes you know what? You don't need words.
Yeah.
Pat on the back, I'm here for you. Um, Sending some flowers. I don't know, but you really don't have to say anything.
Yeah.
Being there is huge. And
Yes.
and it's enough. It's enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my
Just
heart
the
goes out to
presence.
my heart goes out to people who just don't know what to say because
Yeah.
sometimes people say things and I just it's
I
like
know. You're like, oh,
and they don't mean anything by it. They mean only the support and everything.
yes.
But again, I've said many of those things to people in the
Mm,
past, because it's sort of they're words that have been long accepted, when you're going through the line at a funeral home or whatever. And now it's like I choose my words very carefully, or I don't say anything,
yeah.
just give them a hug. So it's grief involves everyone.
It does.
You
That's a
had the
good
loss,
point.
or you're trying to support. I think that's the bottom line, right? I could
Yes.
keep
Yeah.
talking all day, but that's the bottom line. It
Yeah.
encompasses everything.
And it makes me think of a really sweet story. My niece was 12 years old when my father passed away. And I remember her asking me, she was like, Aunt Jen, what do I say to people? And at that point, this is long before COVID, I was like, just hug them.
Yeah,
I was like, you don't have to say anything, just hug them. And at 12, that's what she did. She just
yeah,
hugged everybody. I know now it's, you have to check to see. We won't go
yeah.
down that road. We will not go down that road. But you know what, Robin? I want to congratulate you because something that we just brushed over is that you're published by a publishing company.
I am.
And
I'm
that's
so excited.
as an author who ended up choosing to self-publish, I can tell you that is not that's not a small thing. So
Yeah,
congratulations. That
thank you.
is huge. And I'm wondering if you can share with us who is your ideal reader and also who is your ideal participant for some of these writing workshops that you do.
Okay. Let me start with the participants for the writing workshop. Um, my belief is that everybody can write. So many people are like, oh, I can't write poetry. It's not about writing poetry. It's about putting words on paper that have meaning for yourself.
Yes.
And a lot of people have books in them. They have memoirs that could be so helpful to other people. Um, so a participant would be somebody who loves to write and they're just looking for a group to participate with, get a practice going, writing every week. And also would be for people who are dealing and struggling with, emotional tides and they're trying to figure out, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. I'm exercising. I'm eating well. I'm getting enough sleep. But boy, the writing sometimes will bring such clarity. And the way I go through this is I um, I help people understand that writing is like brainstorming. There's no wrong answer. There's no wrong word. When you start writing, you just dump all the words that come out and just let them go, let them go, let them go, and save editing for another day. And it's a art I used to teach the kids with brainstorming is you don't criticize anybody when they have an idea. This is the part where we all dump our ideas. You'll never believe which one will be the one we'll go with, but the one thing we want to do is cheer on all the great ideas. And that's what I do. There's a book by Dan Millman called The Writing Compass, and he talks about the laws of writing, and there's no such thing as um, like a brain fog or getting stuck. He said it really is just a matter of believing and understanding yourself that you just have to dump words on a paper. You go look up a word in the dictionary or take a letter of the alphabet and say, write 25 words that begin with K and just do that as long as you're writing.
Yes.
And so he doesn't believe in a writing block. He just believes that we forget that writing is words. I mean, and it's not a big idea yet. That word yet, it's powerful, right? So it's not a big idea yet. It's just writing down that. And I've had a lot of fun. I've had a lot of people. I try to do 2 or 3 a year. And I am doing some individual workshops, like one at the end of March. I'll be at Salem State University, and I'll have an hour writing workshop. And really just that is just to introduce people to honoring themselves and honoring the thoughts inside of their head and to just write them down. Don't worry about what they mean. Don't worry if it's not spelled right. Don't worry if it doesn't rhyme. Holy moly. You just write, you dump those words on a paper, or some people do it through drawing. Just let your pencil start with, spinning around the page and see what comes out of it. Because we don't, I mean, yeah, sometimes some people are born with this aptitude to write, but basically they practiced. Basically, they just started writing words and they came up with ideas to support those words. And it's just having a practice to do that. But I love doing that. And the first question was,
Your ideal reader. Who should buy your
ah,
book?
I would say my ideal reader would be someone who has experienced a loss. That would be, I think, the answer that everybody would expect from me. But the true answer is everybody,
Yeah.
because think about it. If I had a room full of 100 people, I could actually say to them, every single one of you has something in common. Look at the person beside you and on the other side. You have had a loss.
Yeah.
Now, it might not have been a spouse, a child, or a parent. Maybe it was your house burnt down, you lost your pet. You know, everybody has experienced loss.
That's right.
So the benefit that you can get from reading the book is normalizing your feelings around loss and giving you permission to feel that pain about loss. That hit me a couple weeks ago when it was the anniversary of the California fires, where a
Mm.
whole city was laid to waste by the fire. And they were showing people going back, crying.
Mm.
I was like, man, we can't forget what loss is to different people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I've had people, well, I was interviewed on a TV show and I had people write me and say, that was this one particular poem. Each one had a poem. That one poem, I actually felt something heal in me. So these
Mm.
different poems are going to strike different, and I do try to have a variety of kid-centered poems, animal poems, because I brought a dog puppy into my house 2 days before my husband went into the hospital, an 8-week-old puppy. And wow, people, even the breeder, when I said my husband wasn't doing very well, she questioned whether I could take the dog home. And I
Mm.
said, I'm taking this dog home. So I took him home, and my son and I would both agree so much that that dog saved our lives. It got
Oh.
us, puppies need to go out and pee at least every hour. Puppies are going to wake up in the morning. Their morning might be 5 a.m. and they're going to yelp for you.
Yeah.
Um, Puppies need to play. They need to eat. I actually wrote a poem about this. They need so much that I could have been cursing the fact that I'm just so exhausted. I want to stay in bed, but I'm getting up and I'm laughing and I'm smiling
Mm.
and I'm feeding this puppy. And he's the best thing that happened to us.
Oh.
The best thing that happened to us. Yeah, timing, right? Timing is everything.
Yes. Yeah, amazing
So I
how that
think
worked out.
anybody can get something from, like, dog lovers.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta love the dog poems.
Yes.
Um, it's just there's something in there for everyone. There's something in there, especially in the eye of the storm where things are a little bit happy and
Mm-hmm.
the same mundane, day-to-day kind of life. And I tried to represent that in my paradigm. And then the third section is called the back wall of the storm, where you discover wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like once you get out of the eye and you're back into the storm, things feel different because you had a little bit of respite. And that's
Yeah.
when you develop that wisdom of, okay, this can get better. This can get different. I don't know what I did, but I'm just going to keep doing this. And it basically is just, in my opinion, this paradigm is just that it keeps going around. Back wall, eye, back wall, eye. You only get smashed once.
Mm-hmm.
Back wall can knock you on your tush too. So,
Mm-hmm.
but you realize now that wisdom comes in that, yeah, but you know what? Next week I might feel really well rested and I'll call somebody and take a walk. And that's going to be my eye of the storm, is this time I
Mm-hmm.
spend with someone and do something for myself.
Yeah.
Uh, so I think there's something in there for everyone. But I think initially, and that's what I've heard from people, is like they want to get copies of it to give to someone who's
Mm-hmm.
experienced loss. And that's the main audience for the
I could
book.
see that. I could see
Yeah.
that it's a great gift. So going
Yeah.
back to what we said, where you might not know what to say, because there
Yes.
usually aren't any words, um, being able to just give them your book. So your book is for
Hmm.
everybody.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Done. Your book is for everybody. So how can everybody find you?
All right, that's great. So I have a Facebook page that's called Grief is a Hurricane with
Okay.
Robin Gillette.
All right.
I'm in the I'm in the process of developing a website, which I'll get to you when I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in the book, I'm right now, we're just waiting for a release date. So we've gone through
Oh,
all the edits, we've gone through everything, and I'm told that as soon as they have a release date, I will be notified because then we start planning things like book signings and all of that stuff. So I'm
that's
hoping to
great.
do a little travel um, and support the book in a lot of places. So I'm really excited about that.
Very exciting. So I'll make sure that those links are in the comments, and
Okay.
people should just begin by following your Facebook page so that they will
Yeah,
know when it's
it is
released.
it's one of those private ones. So all you have to do is say, yes, I want to join and then I check it every day.
Perfect. Oh,
Yeah.
well, thank you so much, Robin Gillette. Thank you so much for
Thank you, Jen.
the gifts that you share, and thank you for being on our Spotlight series here.
Thank you
So,
so much. It was my pleasure.
yes, so glad to have you here. And please, everyone, follow Robin, follow Grief is a Hurricane on Facebook, subscribe and follow this YouTube page, and like this episode, and even share this episode to anyone that you know who is grieving. So, thank you, Robin. Thank you,
Thanks.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone.